So after you have folded your envelopes, the next step is going to be gluing them. And I just wanted to show you, one of the things I actually did while I was home during quarantine was I had stacks of envelopes that I had never glued together that I finally had time to fold and assemble. And so what I usually do is whenever I have extra pulp left over from something, I'll make envelopes. And so that's why you see I have all of these different colors of envelopes that are now done because of quarantine. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unload some envelopes that I finished yesterday. So what I have right here is art books stacked on top of the envelopes that I've glued. And so to unload that, you know, we'll move aside our Agnes Martin, got a Hindi Wiley under there. And then what I have is just a piece of magazine that's on top of the paper. And then these envelopes have been drying flat overnight. And so you can see that now they're done. And so these are finished glued envelopes. So that's what they look like when they're done. So these are the envelopes that I just folded a few minutes ago. And so the first step in gluing your envelopes is just taking a good look at them. Because they're handmade paper, you know, the edges are going to be like a little bit different every time where to put glue and not to put glue. Like I can see this edge right here doesn't line up perfectly, so I want to be careful not to put glue too far in. So whenever I do gluing, I like to use just magazines as pieces of waste paper. And so I'll open this up, I'll lay it on the magazine, and then I want to just use glue along this edge. And the rule of thumb when you're gluing is that you glue away towards the edge of the paper. And the reason for that is that's going to keep your deckled edge really, really sharp and nice and really emphasize it, because that's the whole point of, you know, making things with handmade paper. And so I want to use enough glue that everything is covered, but not so much glue that it oozes. So after I've used my brush to apply the glue, now I'm just going to carefully fold and press that down. Because you can imagine if you use too much glue, it'll squeeze out inside your envelope, and then it won't be able to put your cards in it properly. So then this will lay down just on top of this piece of magazine, and I'm going to go ahead and do another one. So once again, the first step is just to take a look at how it goes together, where the funny curves are, where it doesn't quite line up, so that I have a really good idea of how much glue to use and where to put it. So add glue on one side, brushing towards the edge. Once again, making sure you're using enough glue to cover it, but not so much that it's going to ooze out all over the place. So then once I've added my glue to that flap, I'm going to go ahead and fold this close and press it really firmly. Giving everything a firm press is one of the secrets to having things glue together really well. And then once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and lay it on top of that magazine. So once I've filled this whole page, I'll put another sheet of magazine on top. And basically what that paper does is it just gives the moisture a place to go as the glue dries. And it also protects your books, right? So that if you do have glue that oozes in some way, it's not going to end up all over your awesome art books. And then I'll put one more on top just for a little bit more weight. And that's just going to sit overnight, and then those envelopes will be done. One tip about your glue brushes, right? I just use old brushes that seem to be, you know, whatever the right size is for the size of envelope that I'm using. But I always run these under the sink and get them wet before I dip them in the glue. And that makes a really big difference in your brushes not getting ruined. And now the second that I'm done gluing, I'm going to go to the sink and rinse this off right away. PVA is a water-based glue, and it comes off really easy if you clean your brushes quickly.